Hi, I'm Angela Atkins, and I welcome you to another episode of Sovereign Sisters Podcast. And tonight it's just going to be unfiltered and uncensored. These are thoughts that I've had about various things going on in the world today, and I hope you'll join me in the uncensored discussion we can have about how the world is, what's going on in the world. Now, these are random things. I don't necessarily have a particular order, but I started looking at things today and said, hey, this hits me, or this may be of interest to other people. And so I hope you'll join me and we'll have a great discussion this evening. So let's jump right in. I'm the kind of person, like, when I eat my meal, if there's my least favorite thing on the plate, that's where I start. So basically, I'm going to eat it because it's probably really good for me. So I eat that and move on to the saving the best for last. And that's kind of how I look at this. I'm going to take the stuff I don't like. I don't like talking about politics. It's not my thing. I'm not really interested in political goings on as a whole, but let's start there because it is really part of our world, and it's part of what we as Sovereign Sisters really feel are things that are important happening in the world. Unfortunately, they call it politics. Hopefully we can find another way to relay that information rather than a political view. But let's get started. So I guess it was a good idea, so good that Kamala stole Trump's idea to have no taxes on tips. Hey, what can I say? As the Gateway Pundit reported, Kamala plugged the idea of no taxes on tips for people who worked in the service industry. Hey, it is a great idea, but she seems to have forgotten that she and Joe signed a new law that forces IRS audits on tip income. Talk about just the opposite sides, talking out both sides of your mouth. And to quote the Gateway Pundit, it says, Kamala Harris is proving once again that she has never had an original idea in her life. And this is just one of the many things that we've seen. Again, politics is politics, but this one kind of off the charts. So in another area, on the other side of the fence, let's say, Donald Trump returns not to Twitter, but to X. Remember, when Trump was banned off of Twitter in January of 2021, he said he would never be back. Well, he's back, but it's on X. So remember, words have meaning. This means something else. Don't know what it is. But Trump's going to be on being interviewed by Elon Musk tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Right after this podcast, you can jump on over into X and find out. So let's see. We have somebody already jumping in, and let's see what the question is. Washington Post journalist asks the White House if they can stop Trump's interview with Elon Musk on X. What is everybody afraid of? This man just speaks his mind. Is it because he is so popular? Is that the reason why that people don't want this interview to take place? To me, it's just another interview. The man says pretty much the same thing every time, so I don't really understand what the issue is. And maybe it's because they anticipate being about 250 million people who are going to watch it. That's possible. And it's going to be broadcast on Trump's personal X account. So now that it's back open, we're going to get all those tweets. In Musk's own words, he said, this is unscripted with no limits on subject matter, so should be highly entertaining. Well, it should be entertaining for those who like those things in the first place. Many are anticipating it's a sign of things to come, but frankly, I'm not one of those. I can't stand politics in the fashion that it is now. And I choose to remove myself from the standard public controversy unless there's a clear aberration that needs to be pointed out. So on that note, Kamala has picked this Waltz character. Now, stolen valor has gotten him into the news cycle recently, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. As Minnesota's governor, he signed the Take Pride Act into law. And that included a section that redefined the term sexual orientation. That includes pedophiles in the State Human Rights Act. Unbelievable. But remember, that's not even the worst of it. He also mandated the experimental jab, but he also set up a hotline so fellow Minnesotans could snitch on their neighbors for not following his draconian C-19 measures. Is this who you want for your VP? I don't think so. Now, let me just say, not that the other party doesn't have its drawbacks, it does. But I think if anybody thinks someone with a D after the names offers any real options, they clearly have not been paying attention for the last 4 years. Literally. That's all I can take of politics. I can only take it in small doses myself. So let's move on to something else. In other news, there's a medical side of things that's more my frame of reference, more into my field. Japan has declared a state of emergency following the discovery of nanobots in the bodies of the 96 million of its citizens. Now, this caused shock and outrage worldwide. These little tiny devices were injected into as many as 5 billion people worldwide when they introduced the mRNA toxins. You know what they are. And so it's going to open up scientific investigations and criminal probes. But, we thought it was a conspiracy. We didn't. You and I, we knew it was the real thing. But many people thought it was conspiracy. We knew from the outset something was wrong, and we tried to set others right to warn them. But most of the people, especially the larger truth tellers, were silenced or censored. I mean, it was ridiculous, and the outrageous censorship was to dramatic proportions. One of the truth tellers that I follow is Dr. Jane Ruby. She broke the original story of the Balmer clots, and she's recently done an in-depth analysis of the works of Dr. Young Mi Lee and Dr. Daniel Browdy, who discovered this nanotechnology and how it energizes and creates things like discs, chains, spirals, tubes, and right-angle structures. I mean, this is not normal stuff. And if you really want to find more out about it, you really should jump on Dr. Jane's Telegram channel or her Rumble channel. She has her videos there. They literally she goes through their study piece by piece so you can understand it. She does a really good job of it, doing it in layman's language. So it's, to me, is it time? Is that why this stuff is coming out now? Is it time for disclosure? Because so many things along the way, you and I and those who have been awake and aware all along said, when are they going to tell the truth? I know I have that conversation all the time. When are we going to hear the truth? That's all I want is the truth. Well, the truth is it's only going to come when the time is right. And we don't know when that time is because it's not our plan. Apparently, this is a military operations, and they have their own strategic design, how things are going to go. And so I'm asking now, is this the time they say for disclosure so that the people of the world realize the level of deception and evil that have been perpetrated upon the world by these globalists and their minions? And I'll tell you honestly, you really need to find sources that you trust. And right now, my list is getting smaller and smaller. You may have listened to, 5, 10, 15 different truth tellers along the way, and then something happened or something made you realize, well, maybe they weren't what you thought they were. Maybe they were only saying what they thought you wanted to hear, or to promote something, or something that benefited them. That's why I limit my scope now. And I really want people who are only going to give me the facts. Yes, people need to live, they need to make money, but they don't need to be having schemes and, marketing efforts to drive you to their links to get their products, because that's not what this is all about. This is about truth telling. And yes, both Dr. Jane, who is my one truth teller, and the other one is Mike Adams, the Health Rangers. Yes, they sell products, but that especially Mike Adams, that's his business, has been his business. And pretty much he has stayed consistent for the last 20 years. What I say is just ask the question, who are your trusted sources? Ask them, what do they get out of this? And if there's an ulterior motive, then my suggestion is to rethink if they really are your trusted sources. Hang on a second, got another question or statement coming in. Said, I've tuned out pretty much everything. They've made it boring. Just live my life till the end game happens. Well, you know what? That's kind of a good philosophy because we don't know what the end game is. We don't know when that's going to happen. And to be honest, everybody's putting so much energy into like tonight's interview with Trump that they're going to be disappointed. I have a feeling, and I feel badly about that because at this point in time, everybody's tired. Everybody is over it. I mean, there's just only so much you can tolerate in 4 years. How many things can you go through and realize you're not either not getting the truth, or you're not getting the whole picture, or you're not getting enough of the truth to make your decisions. And so it's very sad that so many people have checked out. I mean, I've seen truthers who've just walked away. They've said, I've had enough. I can't take it anymore. Or it's the same stuff over and over again. And we're never going to know until it's time. And as I said, I believe it's a military operation. And so until the military is ready to pull the trigger, so to speak, we're just not going to know. So hang in there, folks. Find your trusted truth teller. Stick with them. Now, if they change, that's something to reconsider. But if they stay true to who they are, and as I said, somebody like Mike Adams has been the same for the last 20 years. I've been listening to him for more than a decade. I know I've listened to him, but I have listened to him for the last 4 years where he does a daily podcast, and he gives you his thoughts. He gives you the reasoning behind it. He's very analytical. He's well-versed at everything. And so once you recognize what it is that attracted you to that person's, to their podcast or to their writings, and they stay true to it, then I say, give it a shot. Follow them. So let's move on to some news. So recently there was a plane crash where there were 8 cancer doctors who were among the 62 passengers and crew who died on a Brazilian airline. There were 6 leading oncologists and 2 final year resident medics who were on that flight. Now, 15 doctors were scheduled to be on that flight. And one man had stated, who did not make it on the flight, that they were at the monitor and it listed the wrong gate. So 10 of the doctors expected to be on the crash flight were in the wrong place in the airport and didn't board the flight. So apparently they were on their way to some conference, and these 10 were spared this tragedy. Now, I have a video of one of the doctors that was on the plane that crashed. His name is Dr. Leo Ferrara. He discovered a way to program regulatory T cells to attack tumors. Now, that's a huge breakthrough. It showed a 90% remission in the lab, and they were getting ready to move on to animal trials. So basically, if it works, that's the end of cancer and their expensive toxic treatments. So let's listen to what Dr. Ferrari says.
There is, however, one subset of T cells that tumors are very happy to have, and that's the regulatory T cells. So unlike the conventional T cells, they're usually not designed to kill. They inhibit specific immune responses, and solid tumors are really enriching these cells. So what I found is that if I take a page from the CAR T cell book and put a CAR targeting a tumor antigen on the Treg, this CAR Treg actually kills the tumor cell. And compared with a naturally activated Treg, it makes a lot more inflammatory cytokines, including interferon gamma and TNF-alpha and others. And so what we're finding then is that something about the way the CAR signals in the Treg makes it become less suppressive, less inhibitory, and more pro-inflammatory and cytotoxic. So our hope is that because Tregs are this ability to infiltrate solid tumors, if you can put a CAR in them that targets solid tumors, actually infiltrate and destroy the solid tumor. And in addition, it neutralizes the inflammatory cytokines, further reprogram, destabilize the suppressive immune microenvironment of the solid tumor. So the idea here is to have this Trojan horse, this CAR Treg, that will traffic to solid tumors and kill the cells when it's there, and help recruit more inflammatory immune cells. And so right now we have a lot of data in vitro on what these CAR Tregs look like after activation, what the chemokine expression level is like, chemokine receptors as well. We're currently doing immunocompromised models to test how powerful these CAR Tregs are in solid tumors. Come by my poster on Sunday.
So, as you see, Dr. Farrar had an answer, or at least the beginnings of an answer, but he was on a plane that just exploded. So, what do you think? How many times have similar deaths occurred of doctors whose intent is on helping their patients? Is it a false flag or merely a coincidence? I'll let you decide what you think, but I think this has happened too many times when doctors are on the verge of something that's going to destroy a billion or trillion dollar industry like the cancer industry. The cancer industry is out there to make money, not to save lives. And people have to recognize that. We have been so indoctrinated into thinking cancer is this horrible thing. I mean, people, have heard the quote, the C word. They won't even say it because it seems like to be like a death sentence, and it doesn't have to be. We need to reprogram ourselves and say cancer is not the end of life. It's the beginning of some kind of healing that we have to explore. If you recall what I've said many times before, our bodies are self-healing. The symptoms that we have and the illnesses or conditions that we come under are our way that our body is telling us, I need to detox from something. There is something in your system that needs to come out. And if the cells are, multiplying in ways that are not healthy, there's a reason for it. And for us to take a treatment, which basically comes out of the military industrial complex, and inject it into your veins to poison your cells in order to make you healthy makes absolutely no sense to me. Or to take some sort of radiation and burn things in your body. That doesn't make any sense to me. The whole point is to learn how to use your body's wisdom to self-heal. We're not there yet. I mean, I don't have all the answers, but there's plenty of doctors out there who do have the beginnings or who understand the answers about how we get to the point where we are truly self-healing beings, and we don't have the issues because we're not giving ourselves bad things. We're not taking in the wrong food, or we're not drinking contaminated water. And when I say contaminated, it truly is. Many water supplies, municipal water supplies, are tainted with chemicals. They dump chemicals in it, and we're drinking them, ingesting them, and then our body has to fight to clear them. And maybe you don't have a healthy liver that can, detox and basically clear out all that things, filter through those toxins. And it's really important that we learn what the methods are to, one, prevent illness, which is, of course, good nutrition, clean water, lack of toxins in the air, on our bodies, on everything around us. We have to stop spraying things and lathering on chemicals and doing all that kind of things that make it so our bodies have to work harder to keep us healthy. I know this year is one of those years you've had bright sunshine, go outside, the sun just kisses your skin and you feel like you're flushed. But that's okay, because if you're not wearing sunglasses, your eyes will tell you you've had enough sun. Your skin will start to turn pink, and then you go in. But if you go out with sunglasses and slather those whatever creams or lotions on you, your body doesn't have a clue. Your eyes are not getting the signal from the sun. Your skin is being covered with mostly carcinogens, with all those chemicals that are in those sprays and lotions. So the idea is to let your body tell you what it needs, when you need it, and how to get yourself to being a self-healing unit. So I have another question, and it's kind of tangential here. Somebody asking me as a health coach about regulating their blood pressure. Now, I know the typical um, allopathic way is to give medication to lower your pressure to a standard number. That number can be variable depending on your age and everything, but generally people think, 110 over 70 or 120 over 80. Sometimes, that's the range they're looking for. But I'm offering you the information only as informational and educational purposes. This is not in any way a diagnosis, prescription, or medical advice. I'm literally just talking from experience, working with someone who has um, moderate blood pressure issues, not overly high, not in danger of, heart attack, stroke, or anything like that, but just moderately high. They want to lower it so they feel comfortable, because sometimes when your blood pressure is high, you get these palpitations. You can actually feel your heart beating a little harder within the veins. So what I recommended is, let's look into some essential oils. I love essential oils. I only use one product. It's the one that I'm into all the time. And I literally said, let's titrate some oils and find out. Well, I did some research and I found out that oregano oil helps loosen the arteries and the outside structure of your veins. And so it makes it much more elastic so the blood can flow better. And so with that, the blood begins to pump much more easily. It's not such a hard pound trying to get through that vessel to get to your heart, to the rest of your body. Well, that's just one piece, because the other section of it is you have to have your body conditioned to accept that pressure going back and forth. Now, people say the heart pumps, but it's really kind of a vortex where it's pushing that fluid in your vessels throughout your body. I mean, it's got to go to all of your extremities and come back up. Well, it needs assistance, and that assistance is actually in your calves. So if you're an inactive person, one of the ways to really help increase the viscosity of the blood flow is to use your calf muscles. And the simplest way to do it is find a rebounder. And if you don't know what a rebounder is, let me describe it. It is a small trampoline. It's maybe 3 foot in width. You can put anywhere. You can stick it in your bedroom, in your basement, whatever. And 5 minutes of just heel raises and lower, just kind of minor jumping on there, will get your calf muscles conditioned to start being able to do their pumping action. So as the blood comes through the vessels to your lower part of your extremities, the calves are able to bring it back up. And so the combination is what I found is that the oregano oil, and again, you have to find out what works for you. I can't be prescriptive here because I don't know you, and I can't diagnose for anyone. I just know that this particular person had a particular blood pressure that responded to several drops in a gel capsule, because oregano oil is a very hot oil. You don't want to take it just on your tongue or anything. It will burn. And I've had it myself, that you get it on your finger, you'll go, wow, that's hot. And you take a little lavender oil and you put on it and it cools it down. So you want to put it inside a gel capsule and you take that. Now, what we worked out is that she took several drops in the morning in a gel capsule, and then did the rebounding, and then several drops in the evening before bed. And the blood pressure came down not only to normal, but below what the medication was keeping it at. So a natural way. No one's ever gotten really, no one's died from essential oils, basically, if used properly. I'm certain if you drank a whole bottle, you'd probably do some serious damage. But if you're just taking a few drops in a capsule, it's not going to cause any harm. And you can do it without any fear of having side effects, such as different medications, they interact with one another. Oregano oil is one of God's beautiful things that he's offered us. The oregano plant that they extract the oils from just is a perfect tool to help loosen those vessels so the blood can flow freely. And then you help it by doing your rebounding, and then you basically have a whole system that's working. You don't have the pounding anymore, and you don't have to worry about taking medication that you don't know in the long term, how's it going to serve you. I personally am not a pill person. I don't like taking medication of any kind. Even when I was sick, I railed against having to take what they offered me. And in the end, I did start it and I said, no, I'm going to figure it out myself. And I wound up going natural and I did manage to figure it out. The thing is, when you are ill, that's the wrong time to try to figure it out, because I know for me, my brain goes a little haywire and like, oh my God, what's going on? What do I have to do? And I'm trying to, it's like, I'm not calm at all. I would love to think I was calm, but when something is going on and you don't feel well, it's not the time to figure it out. So before things happen, if you know something is an issue, or you think, well, what if the next thing, learn a little bit more about natural medicine. I'm not saying you have to, become a student of any particular philosophy, but learn some natural remedies, and that way you won't be caught in a lurch. And so this one I offer you, if you feel so inclined, you can test out the oregano oil in capsules and rebounding and see if that works for your blood pressure. I do ask you to maybe check with your naturopathic doctor and see if they agree this is appropriate for you, because again, I'm not offering this as medical advice, just for your information and education. Thanks for the question. So the next thing up was I wanted to talk a little bit about what's the next thing they're going to throw at us. They talked about monkeypox. Okay, what is monkeypox? So what's just another one of those varicella diseases? What I don't understand is how people have gotten to the point that they think they need an injection of something to take care of something that's self-limiting. These things, just like chickenpox when you were a kid, they came, they did their whatever they were going to do with you. You got these little things on your skin. Yep, they were itchy. You put stuff on it, you were fine in a few days. But I think it's something that they think people have forgotten. People have these things, they've had them for centuries. They've had these things. You don't need somebody else telling you what to do. Like, you've got this, now you need our thing. So what's it going to be? Is it going to be monkeypox, the avian flu, coronavirus, which by the way is the common cold? I can't believe anybody didn't know that. I literally, that's the first thing I said to my husband. I'm like, coronavirus? That's the common cold. What's that all about? But what are they going to shove at us and expect us to be scared? So we'll run to the nanny state and ask them to take care of us. I do hope the general population has learned its lesson. To me, this has got to be, if you paid any attention at all during the last 4 years, this has got to be things that stand out. This is going to happen to you. It's going to be horrible, they tell you. And here's what we expect to happen. And oh, it happened because we made it happen. We, the nanny state or whoever it is behind it, made it happen. And so you saw the reaction and people were frightened. And I hope now they see that they also provide the solution every time. It's a Hegelian dialect: problem, reaction, solution. Here's the problem. We're going to make it the horrible thing that you think you have. Here's the reaction we expect. Oh, see, we told you. We told you this was going to happen. And here's the solution, because we're here to help you. How have they helped us? In 4 years, how have any of this helped us? Not at all. I don't care about what people say. Oh, I've had X number of these things that they put in me, and nothing's wrong with me. I guarantee you have no idea what's coming for you. It may not come now. It may come in 6 months. It may come in 2 years, but you have no idea what's coming for you. So don't let them fool you again. If you were fooled the first time, okay, that's fine. But this time, you say no. And that's the whole point here, is we have to learn to say no. None of this is necessary. None of this is in your best interest. Your best interest is to stay healthy. And that includes mentally healthy. Because when people hear someone else has gotten whatever it is, whatever disease they throw at you, there's a psychological thing that says, oh, I was exposed to those people. Now I'm going to get it. And you literally make yourself sick. That's why you have to be mentally strong in addition to being physically strong. Now, I don't mean strong as in you can lift a lot of weights, but conditioned where your body can handle whatever comes at you. So if it is a toxin that they throw at you, I mean, they're literally spraying things in the air or 5G emissions, it can make you sick. That's not unrealistic. Toxic elements can make you sick, but you have to have the mental wherewithal to know that your body can heal provided the right conditions. That means no more toxins, clean filtered water, organic food. You can't eat their junk. You can't eat anything that's processed. And people don't get that still. I still hear people say to me, I eat pretty well. And then I hear what they eat, and I'm like, that's all out of a package. Did you read the ingredients on the back? The ingredients will tell you exactly what you're going for, going to put in your system. And many times you don't even know what they are. You can't pronounce them. There's some sort of chemical, or there's some sort of nebulous thing like natural flavors. There's no regulations to tell you what a natural flavor is. It's just a way of hiding whatever they do. Or if they have some proprietary process, they don't have to let you know. So it's up to you. And this is where we go back to being self-sufficient, where you grow your own food, you filter your water, you don't put harsh chemicals on you. It really is difficult in some respects, but it's your choice to be healthy now or pay the doctor later. Yes, and some people have said, Hillary, this comment is so true. Oh, I'll go back to the rebounding 1 second. It says it's painful these days having to read every single ingredient on every package in the stores. I agree. But what's the alternative? What's the alternative? To just taking their word it's good for you? I mean, come on. They said milk does a body good, and it's got hormones and, vaccinated animals and who knows what else. How, you can't count on them. So I had another question. Somebody came in late and they wanted to know about rebounding. So real quick summary of rebounding. If you don't know what a rebounder is, it's like a small trampoline, maybe 3 foot across. You can store it in your bedroom or in your basement, your garage, whatever. And the combination of rebounding for even just 5 minutes a day, that you just need something to get started. And as you get stronger, you can obviously do longer. But that helps your calf muscles be able to pump the blood back up in through your vessels. So you don't want to have your heart try to do all the work. It needs that complementary system. So I hope that answers your question. The rebounding is like a mini trampoline. You're just going to kind of raise your heels up and down until you get stronger. And then you can obviously bounce if that feels comfortable. And there are plenty of things online. You can find videos about what you can do to get more exotic with a rebounder. But simply, it's just a way to get that body started with the vessels being able to pump the blood back the other direction. You can't expect it just to go in one direction and do nothing. It's got to come back up. Okay. So I hope that solves everybody about whatever's coming next. Your answer is no. So it doesn't matter what they throw at you. You say no. That's it. You be sovereign and say, I'll take care of myself. So the other issue has to do with mainly women, but I think it's important because, this is something that I feel that I learned a little too late. And I found this out, maybe not too late, maybe in my early 50s. But we were told, and they're getting younger and younger, asking women to get mammograms. I think it's 45 now. And the issue with mammograms is you're actually radiating your breasts. And so I'm very concerned about women who are dutiful saying, oh, I got my notice, got to go get my mammogram, I'm going to do it as soon as they tell me to do it. And all you're doing is radiating yourself. Those years ago when I looked into it, because frankly, I found mammograms to be very uncomfortable. And I think most women do find them uncomfortable. I mean, you're taking very soft tissue and squeezing it between these cold plates. Sorry, even the thought of it makes me a little icky. It's like, no. And what you're getting is this image, this X-ray image of this section of breast tissue. So why do we continue doing it? Because I know at one point, and I think this is what triggered in my mind, there had to be a better way. I got a mammogram. They said, I'm sorry, you have dense breast tissue. You have to come back and do it again. I'm like, what? Dense breast tissue. So what makes you think the second time it's going to be any different? All you're going to do is x-ray it again, basically. So I'm going to get another dose of radiation. So I didn't want to go in and get my boobs squished between two cold plates again. Really, I wanted something that was pain-free, basically. I didn't like that option because literally afterwards it's very, very difficult, very sore. And I think there's possibly some other things that go wrong if you're being squeezed like that. It just doesn't make sense to me. But I now, and have been doing for probably the last decade or more, getting thermography. That is non-invasive, radiation-free, and it's much better at detecting breast cancer. You have it's an infrared camera, and basically it's like in the room, and you're standing back from it several feet, and it takes an image from about your neck to your waist. So it's not just this little breast tissue thing. It's not just this little section. It really is more your upper torso. And so you get a better picture of what's going on inside. And it's actually so much better because there are people who just can't tolerate that squeezing, and there are people that shouldn't have that. And this does it without any physical contact at all. Not only is it radiation free, but it is better at providing the details of what it is going on in your body, because it actually is like a heat sensor or ultrasound in a way. So it maps out where the possible areas that could be, whether you have, a tumor or something, and it can differentiate between a benign and a malignant tumor, because it can see how the blood flow works in the surrounding area. And I know this is different for some people, and they're like, I don't know where to get it, but there are places all around. In my area, I know there is it's like a 3 or 4 state area. This person who owns the camera goes to different locations, and you set up appointment at the location, and you get your imaging, and it's read by a thermography specialist, and you get results, and it's so clear what's going on. You can see the colorations, the light and dark, what looks like a concerning area, whether it's normal or whether there's something else to go on. There's somebody has a statement here, said, had 2 mammograms, no more. Insurance keeps reminding me I'm late. They offer money rewards and not going to do it. See, there's the thing. They give incentives to do their allopathic, painful radiation treatment where they won't pay for thermograms. They're out of pocket. That is the allopathic system to keep you in it. Let me kind of tease you, because we'll get your insurance money, so we'll give you a bonus, but we'll collect the insurance on the back end. But if you want to do something that's really much better for you, then you'll just have to pay for it yourself. So I agree. I'll never do one again. It is worth every penny that I pay, and it's not that expensive. It's not like you're paying thousands of dollars. So it's really worth getting that started. If you've never had one, just look it up on the web. I'm certain there's something in your area. There are plenty of places that offer thermograms. And so women, I encourage you, never have another mammogram again. It is not good for you, because by the time a mammogram can detect something in your breast, you can feel it by palpation. If you're already doing self-check breast exams every month and you feel something, then the mammogram will show. It'll just confirm what you found. Whereas if you do a thermogram, they'll find it way in advance before it gets to the point where something has to be surgically taken out. So I suggest every woman to start looking into thermograms. All right, so much for my my rant about thermograms. But honestly, that is one of the things that I think that triggered me in the beginning of my health journey back a decade or more ago. That it's been longer than a decade. That said, why am I doing this? None of this makes sense. And so I had to make sense out of it. And once I made sense of it, there's no going back. Okay, let me take a quick drink here. I talked so much, I'm thirsty. And that's the other thing. I drink my water out of copper. It really helps with the water. I won't say it structures water. I won't say any of that because I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I do know it helps keep the water clean and bacteria free. All right, let's move on to some world issues. You'll see why I went here in a minute, but I was looking at some world issues that recently were in the news, and one of them was in Belgrade, Serbia. There were tens of thousands of protesters in the street, and they were against BlackRock's involvement in the country's lithium mines. Now Belgrade seems to have some of the largest deposits in Europe, plus they have other natural resources. Now, these protests were so significant and so, I mean, the people just would not give up on it. And they're protesting not only BlackRock, but other foreign corporations coming in and basically exploiting their country's natural resources. And because they were so persistent, the Serbian government actually had to change their thoughts on it because they were allowing, they allowed the mining to go on, and they didn't care about the environmental impact and how it was destroying their agricultural land. But the Serbian people said no more, and they had to stand down. They forced the government to reconsider their stance. Now, who knows in the future what will happen? But as of now, it seems to be that they've got a hold on it. So this is a display of the people showing their sovereignty. This is our land. We say no. This is what happens. The government is supposed to be responsive to the people. The people elected officials to honor their interests. Their interests were, no, we don't want you doing this in our country. So I think that's really, really important. So another thing, and I'll be perfectly honest, I saw not 1 minute of this on television. First off, I don't watch regular television. I just can't stand it. I can't stand watching commercials because every other commercial is a medicine or an injection or some treatment that they're trying to sell you. Can't tolerate it. Don't want to watch it. But I have seen online the Paris Olympic Games. This is what I call a Satanism on display. And then after the opening ceremonies, it would, I mean, just pure blasphemy over the Christian religion. And this really erupted in the Parisian populace who are predominantly Catholic and said, this is disrespectful. We won't tolerate this. And when they gathered together to sing hymns in the streets of Paris, now this is non-violent, and it's a poignant and symbolic demonstration of their faith. And this is who they are. That's their culture. And so it was a calm, respectful atmosphere, and they expressed themselves using music and prayer. They didn't confront everybody, but it showed how they had solidarity of their community. And it changed public opinion, where many people would probably say, oh, well, that's what it was. They influenced people to the point that it caused the organizers to half-heartedly respond with an apology. I can't say it was an apology of any sorts, but at least it was something. It was a way of people expressing themselves that they won't take this agenda anymore. You can't shove it down our throats. But they didn't stop them. The Satanists still pushed their agenda in the closing ceremonies, and it showed up in their worship of Lucifer, and they displayed the Golden Voyager. Let me show you what I found. It is quite disturbing to me. So, as it says here in the slide, it's no surprise the 33rd Olympic Games in Paris closed with a ceremony dedicated to the rebirth of Lucifer, the light bringer of enlightenment. The show started with the Golden Voyager descending from the sky, like Lucifer's fall from heaven, leg bent and positioned like the hanged man, who in the occult represents the ultimate surrender. This is what they want from us. This is what they want. They want us to surrender. to this satanic, evil influence that they have surrounded us. I mean, it's not just here in the United States, it's not just in Paris, it is worldwide. This agenda is gone everywhere. It's time for us to stop this. How long do we have to go until the world stands up and says, no more of this? We cast out Satan. So, how does that relate to what I was talking about, personal sovereignty? After 4 years of a multifaceted attack against our personal sovereignty and against our constitutional republic, I've heard crickets from the American people, unlike the en masse protests in foreign nations. So are we too big for our britches, or have we become too weak? When I say too big for our britches, I mean, we're such a huge nation. Have we forgotten how to gather locally in our own states, in our own communities, to express our dissatisfaction? And yes, it happens in pockets, but it doesn't happen as a nation, meaning where we get together and say, we don't want this for our country. We don't want this in our world. And in order to do that, we have to come together. We have to have people who even aren't like-minded, but who know that this isn't right, that the world is truly going to hell in a handbasket, as my mother used to say. It is time to bring it to an end. 4 years is too long. I don't think we're going to make it as a nation if it goes much longer. So while I was doing this, I was getting kind of giddy, a little too much going on in the world. And as I said, I don't like politics. I don't like a lot of the stuff that's going on. So I focus on what I can do. But some of the random thoughts that came to my head made me smile because I was actually looking for some humor. So imagine this. What if Bill Gates' mother was Margaret Sanger? And if you don't know who she is, look it up. You'll get the joke. And then I thought, if Moses brought back the commandments from God, which are the rules we're supposed to live by, why do we have legislators who create new laws all the time? How about enforcing the laws that God gave to the people? That's really my message. That really is what I think. So, in my random thoughts, I kept going, this is crazy. The world is upside down. There is a point sometimes that I can't take anymore. I can't imagine what I'd be like if I did watch television, because it would make me totally bonkers listening to the nonsense. But I came across this video online and literally I laughed myself silly, but it sums up what I feel about the crazy happenings in the world today.
What the hell?
Stop saying that.
What the hell? What the hell? What the hell?
Stop.
What the hell? What the hell? What the hell?
Stop saying that.
What the hell?
I couldn't be on video while that was on because I laugh every time. And now when something goes wrong, I just go, what the hell? It's just tremendously funny to me. I love it. But this sums up what the world is like today. What the hell? So let me give you my final thoughts on this, because otherwise I'm going to just burst into laughter again. That cat just does it to me. So one of the other things I'm doing is when I write newsletters and all, I'm not like an emoji person, and I've got to learn that. That's kind of not my generation. And so I'm learning emojis. So I've used the heart emojis, on adorable animal videos, and a thumbs up when a poster's opinion agrees with mine. But throughout the last few years, I've been using the clown emoji quite frequently. It's because we live in an upside down world where right is wrong, wrong is right, and every possible issue is clouded by the divisiveness artificially designed to keep us separated, whether it's race, religion, nationality, whatever else they can drum up. And this clown emoji speaks volumes to me. I laugh at their attempts to ridicule what I know is right. I put that icon on, and that it's got some twirling around the clown before it settles down. And it just shows just how dizzying the constant attacks against the good people and morality. And the idea that clowns are supposed to be funny allows me to laugh at the silliness and the outright stupidity of some of these situations. But on a serious note, this is what I want to leave you with. Ultimately, we have to come back to God. As individuals, we need to build strong relationship with God. As a community and as a nation, we have to join together and stand up for our rights as sovereign beings and not be afraid to invoke God's name when we speak. It feels at times like the entire world has been turned over to Satan. It's time we turn our attention back to our Creator and give Him thanks and praise before we run out of time. And so until next time, God bless. See you hopefully soon.